All right, ARCA at Atlanta. Here are my settings. Pretty standard. That's exactly what I do for every mile and a half. -3 on the brake bias, but we won't need that till we get to the long run. It's a pretty cool track out, like mid 90 degrees. So it's going to be a second lap, hot lap. Depending on the track temperature, the line could change, but from when the track is cool, like it is looking like to be for these races, definitely run the high line. You cannot run that same momentum on the bottom. Once it gets super duper slick, the late apex line actually starts becoming fast in terms of lap time again. Should be a second lap, hot lap too. We're going to just try sending both laps, but first lap will not have the grip, and I'm also not going to have the run coming to the line. So here we go. I'm going to be a little bit more patient entering turn one here. Just half throttle, just going to let it sit. And then go full throttle, let the car rotate under the throttle. That's about as good as I can get that for lap one. That was pretty clean. Then 3 and 4 we can actually send quite a bit harder. Just going to go half throttle for a little bit and then just try to force that full throttle as early as possible, just like that. Getting a little loose there is exactly what I want to do. You don't want to slide, but you want to use that rotation. That's actually a really good lap. That might be a good example lap if I screw this up, but I'm not planning on screwing this up. I screwed this up. Same exact technique there as the lap one. It's just that because of the run up and a little bit extra grip, you're going to be about half a tenth to a full tenth quicker. But I'm happy with using that first lap as an example. So going into turn one here, what I'm doing is I'm getting off the throttle to about half and turning my steering wheel before you hit this, what it feels like a ramp. It almost feels like when you enter the banking at the High Line in Atlanta, it's like you're jumping into a ramp into the corner. Well, before you get into that ramp, you want to get all of your change out of the way. So you can see that when I hit the ramp, my wheel's where I want it to be and my throttle's where I want it to be. And I just kind of hold that more or less. And then I'm able to just get really aggressive on the throttle because really early my car is able to have that weight shift where my car is rotating under throttle instead of plowing. If you enter the car too straight into the corner, you're going to plow into the wall. So that's why you want all the change to happen before the banking, because that way you can actually get rotation under throttle. And so I'm actually getting my throttle above that half towards that full, and I actually get full really quickly. Right as I get close to that wall, I've noticed that my car can just rotate under throttle, so that I just finish it, and I just finish the corner with pretty much using only my throttle for rotation. Like, that's very little amounts of wheel, and that's how you can run the high line very fast on a hot lap type lap. You just have to enter the corner in a way where you can get back on the throttle to where it gets you loose. If you are getting the throttle if you're getting rotation under the throttle, that means that you can pick up the throttle as soon as your car stops plowing. And so that's why it's not necessarily the best to just dive bomb the top as hard as possible. Sometimes you want to just get on the throttle as early as possible. Same thing for 3 and 4 here, except you can be more aggressive. So the shape of the corner is a little bit tighter on entry, so I'm just going to lift for a little bit. But once I get this turn, so same motion, right? Half throttle, turn the wheel before the banking. But once I get that car to stick right here, you can pretty much just force full throttle here for the rest of 3 and 4. It gets a little bit tight if you go early, but you don't have. You want to be pushing that timing just to every tenth of a second later that you wait for the car before throttling. It's a pretty significant difference in lap time, because it carries through the whole top, right? Carries through the whole top. I really can just be full throttle. And you, again, I want that rotation there. Like, it might be scrubbing my speed very slightly, but it really isn't. It's getting close, but it isn't. So you don't want to be scrubbing your speed, but you want to be getting rotation under throttle. You might hear your tires a little bit. That won't be very good for race, but for qualifying, if you are not scrubbing your speed, A-okay. And then my poor lap 2. That was almost good. You see how I did everything that I was talking about, but my car just sits a little bit too straight as I hit the banking, and so it slides up at a at a faster rate than I'm expecting it to, and I'm just trying to maintain that same momentum, and it just barely gets the wall. When we're in a race context, we're not even going to be going for that line up top. You got to be kind of a psycho to run the wall like that in a race, because there's no margin for error. When most people run the wall, I don't know how that happened or why that happened. I'm gonna start that, and I'm gonna keep going. That's if you made it this far, then that's a funny thing. I don't know why I don't just go on the track. I'm not gonna get a black flag. It's a test session. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, most of the time, people who are really good at wall ripping are just taking lines that just never slide up an inch, because those are just 100% consistent. If you can make sure your car never slides up an inch, you can enter anywhere on the track and you're not going to hit the wall. Now, long run at Atlanta, I'm a huge advocate for late apexes and running the bottom if the track can handle it. Some people are going to try to run the wall all race. I don't really recommend that. But I use a little bit of trail brake and just get the car rolling on the bottom. You want to stay on that white line as long as possible so that your car is not sliding up early in the corner. Now, as you can see, it's actually quite a bit slower compared to our hot lap time. And my general rule of thumb with this type of stuff is that you want to be probably about 3 to 4 tenths within your hot lap line on your race line. If you're worse than 3 tenths off, then that's going to be a pretty big issue. And so what this is telling me is that this might end up being a full top run race, but you got to think about tires too. So it might be one of those things where you might have to give up some track position early, let people burn their stuff up on the top, or you can take it to your advantage, run like 5 laps up top. The thing is, running a conservative line up top, I'm not that much faster than the bottom. Boy, that comes at you pretty quick. Oh, jeez. So, yeah. It might end up being a full top race, but be very careful about how you run the top. You don't want to be scrubbing tires. Just how iRacing works is the top is always going to wear more than the bottom here. So, actually, no, what I would probably end up doing for the race, given the option, top 1 and 2 feels nice, except when I hit the wall. Don't worry about that. That top of 3 and 4 did not seem that great to me. I think bottom 3 and 4 could be the play to help your tires even them out a little bit. And it really depends on track temperature too, though, is the thing. Honestly, I think, let me do 1 lap up top here, and then I'll do a lap top bottom. I think top bottom might be the play. The thing about 1 and 2 is if you run late apex, oh, you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be sliding tires like that. That's a good 1 and 2. Less slide up. That's what I'm looking for. The slide up is bad for consistency, and it's also not great on tires. Alright, let's try a top here. A little brake tap just to get the car settled, and then we'll try to get aggressive back. Yeah, it's just... yeah. So I get the good runoff, but I mean, it's even-ish. Half a tenth better, it looks like, by the time all is said and done. 3 and 4, 1 and 2 is just really bad on the bottom compared to the top, it looks like. Yeah, for whatever reason, 1 and 2. Well, is it that bad? Yeah. I think that you run the top if you are on the attack, if you're on the defense, and you run the bottom if you got some room to save tires. That's my That's my verdict. Because the top really is better than the bottom, but for sure you're going to burn your tires up the more you use the top. It's going to be a race by race basis, but I can see myself running like 2 or 3 laps, top both ends, for the first beginning of the race if I need to make up track position, and then just camping the bottom when I have some room out my rear. And then with 20 to go, everything's going to go to the top. That's usually how it works. And when that happens, the people who have saved the most tire are just going to be able to carry so much more speed through the corners, and they'll be able to do some alternate lines. Like dive bombing 3 and 4 is definitely going to be where the passes are made here, because you can carry just as much speed, bottom 3 and 4 is there, and then you just slide up a little bit, you take their line away, and if you're really faster than them, the crossover isn't going to work because they're not going to be able to get off the wall. This track is probably wearing tires pretty evenly at this track temperature. We'll check it though. This is really a free-flowing race. I think the way that I'm going to approach it is bottom when I have room to and top when I don't. And it could very well go either way. So yeah, even tire wear, so that's good to see. So yeah, just be flexible with what you do, but most likely everything will move up top towards the end of the race, and just make sure that your car is not sliding up with the line that you're taking. All right, thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you all on the track.